Hi, third grade. We're back. I'm Mr. Roney from the Citizenship Academy, and today we're going to be working on the read, draw, and write strategy with word problems. By this time of the year, we have a lot of experience with the strategy, and we're just going to keep practicing it and trying to get better and better at word problems because these are one of the most challenging but fun parts of math. So first today, we're going to practice a little skip counting by eights, which definitely a little bit of a tricky number, but I think you guys can do it. And the second one, we're going to look at a practice problem dealing with time. And we're going to use our read, draw, and write strategy to solve that together. So without further ado, let's get started. So earlier this week, we skip counted by sixes. Before that, we skip counted by fours. Before that, we skip counted by twos. So now it's time to skip count by eights. We're getting pretty big in these numbers. Lucky for you guys, if you haven't tried this before, you're not comfortable skip counting by eights, I've written all of the 8 skip counts down so that we can just look at them and practice them together. So I'm going to point at a number and then we're going to say it together. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Then we'll go backwards. 40, 32, 24, 16, and 8. And when we're skip counting, all we're doing is just adding 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. So it's like addition, we're just doing it really fast. So my mission for you guys today is see if you can memorize these first 5 skip counts with 8. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. And it's also going to come in handy when we do our next problem with our read, draw, and write strategy. So let's take a look at what our word problem is for today. And here we go. I'm going to move my head so it's not directly in the way. And let's read this together. Make sure that we're paying close attention to what the problem is asking, circling the important stuff, and then figuring out what kind of drawing we can do to make this simpler to figure out in our heads. Mr. Chavez's third graders go to gym class at 11:15. So we've got a time problem here. Students rotate through 3 activities for 8 minutes each. Lunch begins at 12. How many minutes are there between the end of the gym activities and the beginning of lunch? A lot of information in that problem. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is definitely figure out what we're actually being asked to solve. And the best way to do that is take a look at the question mark and underline that question. So the question is, how many minutes are there between the end of gym class activities and the beginning of lunch? So for this problem, sounds like the best way to solve it, at least in my head, is going to be a timeline. So I'm going to draw a timeline out to try to just figure out the basic situation of what we're trying to deal with. So let's put some important pieces on this timeline. In the beginning, the time that we're starting at is 11:15. So at the beginning of our timeline, that's what I'm going to write, 11:15. And if you guys remember the difference between AM and PM, this would probably be AM because 11:15 PM would be like the middle of the night. So if this is during school, this is probably 11:15 AM. That's when everything's going to start. 11:15, go to gym class. And what I should have done there, and I actually forgot to do, is I forgot to circle some of the important numbers in this. So I'm going to do that now. So they go to gym class at 11:15. They rotate through 3 activities for 8 minutes each. So each activity is 8 minutes. And then lunch begins at 12. Excuse that noise, that's my garage. Don't worry, there's no earthquake going on here. I'm safe. Thank you for worrying about me. And so we've got a timeline that starts at 11:15 and then it ends at 12 because those are kind of the 2 times that we're concerned with. 11:15 is when we start, 12 is when we end, and what we're really being asked is how many minutes are kind of in between those spots. So I'm going to put 12 p.m. over here, and that's when the kids go to lunch. And I know you guys can't see that now. I'm going to drag it over as soon as I'm done typing. or I'm going to say lunch begins. Okay, so we've already done a lot of the hard work with this problem, even though we haven't done math yet, because we've kind of figured out what we're trying to solve, and we've created a picture to help us solve it. I'm going to make that much bigger so we can see. And if you guys have something you're writing with, please copy this down and see if you can do this along with me, because it'll help if you have your own drawing going too. So between 11:15 and lunch, there's some things that happen. It looks like there's 3 activities for 8 minutes each. Guess what that sounds like? That sounds like we might have to skip count by 8s. So if there are 3 activities, 8 minutes each, we're going to be able to skip count by 8s to figure out how long all those activities took together. So let's do that right now. Let's make some jumps on our timeline. So we start at 11:15. Then we'll go 8, so 8 minutes, 16, and 24. Okay, so 8 plus 8 plus 8 is really 24 minutes. And we figured that out just by counting by 8s. That's why skip counting is so helpful, guys. It helps us multiply, and it helps us figure out time problems especially. So 11:15 plus 24 minutes. Basically, we're jumping 24 minutes forward. And if we jump kind of in groups of 8, we go 11:15 plus 8 more minutes. We'll start at 15 and just go up. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So one jump would be 11:23. We're going to start at 11:23. We're going to put that number in our head, and we're going to jump 8 more forward. So 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Next spot is 11:31. And finally, 11:31 plus 8 more minutes, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. You guys notice I'm counting on my fingers. That's okay. Use your fingers to your advantage when you're working with numbers less than 10. So 11:39 is when these activities end. So here's the important time interval. We got to figure out how much time there is between 11:39 and when lunch begins at 12. I'm going to write a question mark there. How many minutes is in between that? If we want to, we can just start at 11:39 and count all the way up, and we can kind of make tally marks for every minute that we count. So, or we could just jump in smaller numbers. So if we jump to the next even number, which would be 11:40, we can jump 1 minute to get to 11:40. And then to get from 40, we can jump 10 more minutes to get to 11:50. And then we can jump 10 more minutes from 11:50 to 12. So we jumped 1 plus 10 plus 10. So 10 plus 10 plus 1 is, that's good addition, you guys, 21 minutes. So there are 21 minutes in between the time those activities end and when lunch starts. So that would have been a really tricky problem if we did not use our number line. But the number line really helped me, at least. I think it should help you guys visualize what this really looks like. So let's check off that we read the problem. We drew the problem. We actually solved the problem. And now we're going to write the answer. So we have to always label our answer. So we're going to say, how many minutes are there between the end of gym class and the beginning of lunch? There are 21 minutes. And I've got to label my answer as minutes. And as long as I've done that, we've got it, guys. That's exactly what we need to do. So there are 21 minutes in between. So I'm not sure how difficult or how easy that was, but word problems are one of the trickiest parts of 3rd grade, especially 2-step word problems. So if these are tricky for you, make sure you're really drawing the problems out, making sure you use those whiteboards, those pieces of paper, and then if you're still having trouble, ask an adult or ask a teacher, and we're going to be able to work through those with you. Okay, so good luck with those. The rest of the practice problems on the Google form. If you guys did this along with me, you already have one of those problems solved. So try those other 4 and make sure to use the read, draw, and write strategy to help organize your thinking. Awesome job today, guys. Really awesome focus, and make sure that you're asking for help if you need it. Good luck with the rest of these problems.